welcome to another edition of That Catholic Saints Guy. I'm your host, Brian O'Neill. Today, St. Rita of Cascia is one of the better known saints in the Catholic Church, largely owing to her reputation as a saint of impossible causes, and therefore a powerful intercessor for the faithful in heaven. But it wasn't always the case that she was reasonably well known, or as well known as any saint can be in a church whose official rolls contain at least 10,000 of them, many of whom are at best obscure. St. Rita didn't become well known beyond the borders of Italy by herself. It took some help. And that brings us to today's story of the woman who brought St. Rita to notoriety and who is herself a saint. This is the story of Blessed Maria Teresa Fasce, who really should be better known. Born into a noble family in Genoa, Italy on December 27, 1881, her parents gave her the name of Maria Giovanna, Mary Joan. She would take the name Maria Teresa later after entering the Augustinian religious order. Maria's mother, Teresa, died when she was just 8, and so it was left to her father, Eugenio, to ensure her religious upbringing and education. As she grew into her teens, she took a more active role in her parish, for instance, teaching catechism. The parish was run by Augustinian priests, and it was through her pastor, Father Mariano Ferrielo's influence that she fell in love with St. Augustine and other famous figures in the order named after the illustrious church father. In 1900, when Maria was 19, Pope Leo XIII canonized St. Rita of Cascia, who had been an Augustinian nun. Rita's religious order began making this new but mostly obscure saint better known, presenting her as an example for the whole world, and this piqued Maria's interest. She absolutely became fascinated by her. Maria had already contemplated a religious vocation, but now she decided she wanted to be an Augustinian nun in Cascia, just like Rita. Her family, however, did not support her. At first, it was simply that they didn't want Maria to be a nun. When they finally relented to the idea of her being one, they wanted her to stay closer to them and not go far away to Cascia, which even today is a 6 or 7 hour drive. Never mind what it would have been in a day of poor rail service and horse-drawn carriages. Furthermore, the convent at Cascia rejected her, thinking a city girl from Genoa, nobility no less, could not possibly make it in the rugged mountains of Cascia. If you have never been there, Cascia is remote and so small you can walk around the entire town in a half hour, so one can understand the superior's misgivings. Maria persisted, however, and with her family's reluctant blessing, was finally accepted in June 1906, taking the name Maria Teresa Eletta. Unfortunately for her, the newly minted Sister Teresa arrived right around the same time as the monastery was going into a crisis, fostered by the arrival of 7 young nuns from another convent. These new sisters wanted things one way, the older nuns another, and the resulting infighting weakened the convent and discouraged the young novice. So Teresa left and returned home for nearly a year, but eventually returned, strengthened in her resolution to become an Augustinian nun. Not content to let the convent's chaotic condition continue, she wrote letters to superiors informing them of the situation. After making her final vows in 1912, Sister Teresa was made novice mistress, then vicar, and then in 1920, abbess at just age 39, a position she kept the rest of her life. She realized the convent had experienced the recent conflict because the nuns had taken their eyes off Jesus and become lax in their prayer life. As a result, she ensured that the sisters' foremost focus was always prayer, scripture, meditation, and the sacraments. She also told her sisters that Jesus didn't want his brides to be dolls who just sat around, but to labor and be active. Because of her love for St. Rita, she desired to make her much better known and to bring people closer to Christ through her example. Thus, she started a magazine dedicated to her, still in print in multiple languages today, and donations for our new pilgrim shrine started pouring in. As a result of Mother Teresa's efforts, the nuns not only built a new church to house St. Rita's incorrupt body, they also erected a girls' orphanage, which they called the Beehive. Teresa, who had lost her own mother, was a mother to them, playing with the girls and loving them, who she called her bees. And it is said she became, quote, a child in their midst. A statue outside the church commemorates her devotion to the children. For 30 years, Maria Teresa suffered from a malignant tumor on her right breast. And though this was terribly painful and she had to endure 2 operations, she never complained. Indeed, showing its all in one's attitude, she called the cancer her treasure because it allowed her to suffer like her bridegroom, Christ. But she also had heart, asthma, diabetes, and circulatory problems that made her feet hurt. Unable to exercise, she became obese. And her poor sisters, her difficulty walking sometimes meant they had to carry her when she needed to get about. This could not have been easy as she was such a large woman. Ultimately, the cancer prevailed, and on the morning of January 18, 1947, Mother Teresa Fasce passed away. Today, if you go to Cascia, you'll find her incorrupt body in the crypt next to the basilica she built for St. Rita, which thousands of pilgrims each year now visit because of her efforts. St. Rita of Cascia is such a great saint that she might have become the object of devotion that she is for millions of people around the globe, even if Blessed Maria Teresa Fasce had not come along and promoted her. Indeed, it's impossible to know. What we do know is that she did. And as a result, there are churches and shrines around the world built to St. Rita's memory, including one right here in our own country in downtown Philadelphia. What Blessed Maria Teresa Fasce did was possible because she put Jesus at the center of her life and her work. As she wanted to draw others to him through St. Rita's example, we can hope and pray that through her own life, we will be inspired to greater fervor and devotion to our crucified Lord. Thank you for being with us. And if you like what you've seen, please hit the subscribe button. Ring the little bell so that you get notifications every time we release a new program. Hit the like button, maybe share it with folks. And in the meantime, we'll see you next time here on That Catholic Saint Sky.